As you walked around this venue, you may have noticed a lot of placards filled with very powerful quotes and images about autism right outside all these boards. Each one is a step towards sensitizing the public about autism. And today, I have the profound honor of welcoming someone who has been doing this in every possible way for very, very long. When I say very, very long, I do not mean for 5, not for 10, but for over 3 decades. What began
to support her own son grew into a national movement that has impacted thousands of individuals with autism and their families. As a founder of Action for Autism in 1991, she pioneered services for autism across the lifespan, including assessments, early intervention, education, employment opportunities, and assisted living through initiatives such as the Caadrre Early Intervention Program, the Open Door Day School Program, the Parent-Child Training Program, the Work Behaviors Training Program, the Aadhar Vocational Center, and the Ananda Assisted Living Home. Her relentless advocacy efforts were instrumental in the formal inclusion of autism in the National Trust Bill 1999 and the RPWD Act 2016. Through her visionary leadership, Merry Barua has championed systemic support not only for autistic children but also for parents and educators, equipping them with the knowledge and resources to foster inclusive environment. In recognition of her extraordinary impact and lifetime dedication, we are honored to present Merry Barua with the Caadrre Lifetime Contribution to Autism Award 2025. Now I cordially invite our chief guest, Srimati Sharda Muralidharan IAS, Chief Secretary, Government of Kerala, Guest of Honor M. Jayachandran, Music Composer, Mr. G. Vijayaraghavan, Honorary Director Caadrre, and Dr. M.I. Sahadullah, KIMS Chairman KIMS Group and Advisory Board Member, to the stage for the award ceremony.
Into the engagement of the Peoples with Disability Act. We have been, as administrators, responsible for implementing that act, and therefore, and we also had realized how difficult it had been, to understand the disabilities, to understand the spectrum of disabilities that was not just purely physical in manifestation. So I've met with a lot of doctors who and psychiatrists who also were talking about how difficult it is for the system to understand disability in the first place, but more importantly to understand disability that was not blindness or deafness or orthopedic disability. Things have changed a lot in the time, and it is very important to create support systems for not just the children and people of the entire spectrum of autism, but also for the caregivers. And something in the presentation here touched me, where, Madam, you talked about how you were looked at askance just because you chose to dress well, and as if you were not entitled to a life, as if the life that you had was not in itself entitling and enabled. So yes, there is a lot that we need to understand and come to terms with when we look at this. I have had the opportunity of, Netflix has helped us to appreciate autism a little bit better. We've seen people in the spectrum who've come out as surgeons, and movies that have tried to contextualize how people like that work in a setup and how difficult it is for them to navigate the world, but how important it is for all of us to both acknowledge what they are capable of and to support them and to understand and help create that kind of ecosystem where they can be themselves. I also love Korean drama, and so the extraordinary Attorney Woo was yet another revelation in that matter, in that area. So it is good to see movies, series which are mainstream that celebrate and make heroes and heroines of people in the spectrum. It's not just about saying that, opportunities are equally available to everyone. It's about saying that some people cannot access the opportunities that are given to them, and therefore we need to look at providing enabling environments. And that is the heart of equity. That is the heart of an inclusive society. That is what makes us human. There are very strong tendencies in human beings to homogenize. Our identity is somehow connected with homogenizing ourselves, of setting a standard and saying everybody fits to that standard. But then, if that were true, we would all just be clones of each other. And that's not what we are. It is the diversity of us that makes us important, that makes us relevant. And you look at any spectrum, from the stars to the microbe, you will find that it is diversity that makes life interesting, varied, meaningful, and relevant. So I would also particularly now congratulate Caadrre for fighting for that right, for continuing that good fight. My best wishes are with you all the time, and I hope that we will all be able to move forward and continue to work at making this world of ours a much more inclusive place. Thank you.
Thank you very much, first of all, to Mr. Vijay Raghavan and to Caadrre for having me here. I think I'll have to start by saying, as a parent of an autistic young man, I'm not autistic. When Mr. Vijay Raghavan asked me that, we are thinking of giving me this award, there is no way I would say no, because he is somebody I hold in huge respect, and I've always admired for everything that he has done and continues to do. So it's a privilege for me to be here to be receiving this award. Thank you very much. It is, of course, an absolute honor and a privilege to be receiving this award. And I think it is really a recognition not so much of what we have been able to achieve, the organization that I'm with, Action for Autism, and the team members, but rather I would say a recognition of the philosophy that is at the core of everything that we do. Philosophy that has guided us from the first, when we started the organization. When you saw this nice film that Caadrre has managed to put together with all the clips that they had, I think it was really sweet. And at the ending, there were the 3 boys sitting in t-shirts, and the t-shirts said "different and proud of it." And that has been, that slogan was created in 1995 during one of our first events. Because we never thought of autism as a problem and something to be ashamed of. I was never ashamed of my son's autism. It was always something in my mind, something that made a person different and something that I had to be proud of. I didn't ever want my son to be ashamed of his condition. I never tried to hide it. He is on what is called the higher support need of the spectrum. So he was the kind of young man who did look, who flapped, who jumped, he did all of that. And it was okay by me. And if society could not accept it, it was their problem, not mine. And that's the philosophy that has always guided the work that we do. And it is also something that it guided us not just in terms of people with autism, but when we practiced inclusion, we truly, and something that ma'am referred to really, the homogeneity in society. And for us, it is not just about inclusion. It is, of course, about interdependence. That's a part of our vision, a mission statement, that the interdependence of all human beings. But also when we think about inclusion, for us, we very strongly believe in inclusion of every hue of humankind. It is not just about including people with autism. It is not just about including people with disability. It is not just including people from Delhi or India or from Bengal or wherever. It is not just about including people from a particular class. So, and that's something I saw in Caadrre also, that you'll support people who do not have the means. Dreamt at that point of ever, as we do now, have friends and colleagues who are journalists and lawyers and actors and writers and content creators. And this has really enriched the way we are able to look at people who are different, not just autistic, but all people who are different. In this whole contribution of what I've done, with people with autism, I have to admit that it is not just my doing. I have been truly, truly blessed to have an amazing, and something I've seen at Caadrre also, you all have an amazing team. I met a lot of them yesterday, and that's something that we've also been truly blessed with. So the contribution that I'm being honored with is really something that is a contribution by an amazing team that I've had over the years, who stood by my side, who supported us in every way, who do a lot of the hard work and the hard pulling. And I've actually stepped back quite a bit now. And of course, in this contribution, a very big role is played by people with autism themselves. Because a lot of everything that we do now, in the way we support them, in the way we are able to place them in employment, in the way we work with them at school, or the way we support them in the assisted living, that knowledge has really come from our interaction with autistic colleagues, our autistic board member, our autistic friends, because they have taught us the most that we do now. And of course, I must thank my son. And I want to also add that I did start out with being a fairly non-judgmental person, but somewhere along the way, and I talked about it yesterday to some of the parent groups, as my son started going to school and his behaviors became challenging, I was kind of losing my ability to be non-judgmental, and it is my son who again brought me back to the ability to see differences without a judgmental lens. He brought me back to being accepting of people, and I know that has actually made my life so much better.
Music composition എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഞാൻ ഓർക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്വയം മറക്കലും ഒരു സ്വയം പറക്കലുമാണ്. Just forgetting yourself altogether and flying on to other skies, other realms, where you become one with the frequency of the universe or the resonance. So when that resonance happens, then I feel music blossoms out of somewhere. നമുക്ക് പോലും അറിഞ്ഞൂടാത്ത എവിടുന്നോ സംഗീതം ഇങ്ങനെ വന്നു ചേർന്നു എന്ന് തോന്നും. അപ്പോൾ അതുപോലെയാണ് ദ വേൾഡ് ഓഫ് ഓട്ടിസം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Jalaluddin Rumi says, "You're not just a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." To understand the world of autism, we have to understand that ocean, the ocean of oneness, and the resonance with the ever-pervading light that we call as God. ഇവിടെ എൻ്റെ മുന്നിൽ വരുൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന എൻ്റെ മകനുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ ഒത്തിരി സ്നേഹിക്കുന്ന എൻ്റെ മകനാണ്. ആ മകൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ പ്രത്യേകത എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു 4 ദിവസം കൊണ്ട് ഒരു ലാംഗ്വേജ് മാസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത്. എത്രയോ ലാംഗ്വേജസ് വരുൺ വളരെ അനായാസമായിട്ട് സംസാരിക്കും. കർണാട്ടിക് മ്യൂസിക്കിലെ കൃതികൾ വരുൺ മണിക്കൂറുകൾ കൊണ്ട് പഠിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പം ഞാൻ ആലോചിക്കാറുണ്ട്, ഇതൊക്കെ ഞാൻ ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെ എത്ര വർഷങ്ങളല്ല, എത്ര ജന്മങ്ങൾ ജനിച്ചാൽ മാത്രമാണ് എനിക്ക് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് ഓർക്കാൻ പോലും പറ്റുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോൾ വരുണിനെ പോലെയുള്ള ഒത്തിരി ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്, നമ്മുടെ മക്കളാണ്. ശരിക്കും ജീനിയസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അവരാണ്, നമ്മളാരുമല്ല എന്നുള്ള അറിവ് എനിക്ക് നന്നായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ സമയത്ത് വിജയരാഘവൻ സാർ പറഞ്ഞ് ഒരു പാട്ടിൻ്റെ 2 ലൈൻ പാടിയിട്ട് ഇവിടുന്ന് ഇറങ്ങാവുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് ജസ്റ്റ് 2 ലൈൻസ് എല്ലാവർക്കും വേണ്ടി. ഈ പാട്ടിലും പറയുന്നുണ്ട്, തുള്ളിയാം എന്നുള്ളിൽ വന്നു നീയാം കടൽ എന്ന്. അത് ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ റൂമി പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യമാണ്. യു ആർ നോട്ട് ജസ്റ്റ് എ ഡ്രോപ്പ് ഇൻ ദ ഓഷൻ, യു ആർ ദി എൻറ്റയർ ഓഷൻ ഇൻ ദ ഡ്രോപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. വാതുക്കല് വെള്ളരി പ്രാവ്, വാതുക്കല് വെള്ളരി പ്രാവ്, വാക്ക് കൊണ്ട് മുട്ടണ കേട്ട് തുള്ളിയാമെന്നുള്ളിൽ വന്ന് നീയാം കടല് പ്രിയ, നീയാം കടല്. വാതുക്കല് വെള്ളരി പ്രാവ്, വാക്ക് കൊണ്ട് മുട്ടണ കേട്ട് തുള്ളിയാമെന്നുള്ളിൽ വന്ന് നീയാം കടല് പ്രിയ, നീയാം കടല്. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്.
Really know Caadrre, I request you to find out, engage, and if possible, contribute. It could be in terms of time, it could be in terms of talent, it could be in terms of funding, or even fundraising. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.